to help answer some of these questions, or to overcome some of the concerns that Christians in this survey, there was 1,000. It was a pretty good size survey, so it's pretty accurate, I would think. To help Christians, and we know that we've seen this before, being intimidated, not feeling like they have a good handle on the issue, that they don't have a fully developed biblical worldview. So they're a little intimidated to speak in environments in where there's hostile views. And frankly, today, if you're going to talk about truth, there's going to be hostility. But that's one of the main focuses of our Center for Biblical Worldview here at the Family Research Council, is to help Christians understand the issues of our day from a biblical perspective, and then to be able to speak to them. And then we also have resources to help you understand where the candidates stand on these issues, and help you share that information with your friends. Because someone who is informed, involved, has the ability to shape the actions of others. And that's what we call SageCon, spiritually active, governance-engaged conservatives. People look to them for guidance. And we're trying to equip the SageCons to help others cast an informed ballot. And number one, cast that ballot, but number two, make sure it's informed. Join me. I'm going to bring Brent Keilen in, to our Vice President of Strategic Initiatives here at the Family Research Council, to talk a little bit more about this. Brent, welcome to Washington Watch. Good to have you today.
Good to be with you, Tony. Thanks.
So you actually brought this survey to my attention. We were discussing it this morning, which is why we had Lauren on the program. Many of these obstacles or hesitations that people expressed in this survey are things that we're doing here at the Family Research Council to help people cross that line and engage. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely, Tony. We have a number of those resources. You talked about the Center for Biblical Worldview and some great resources on key issues there. But, one of the practical ways here leading up to the election is resources to equip people for Election Day as well. There's a lot of Christians who are looking for those types of resources. And what we've done for that area specifically is we've put together a voter impact toolkit. This is kind of a one-stop shop. We've been working for a long time, years and years at FRC and FRC Action, equipping people to engage in elections. This toolkit really takes all of the questions we frequently get and puts them all answers all of those in one source. You can access this through our Stand Firm app. So that's our free app. Just look on the App Store for Stand Firm or text. I know you were promoting that earlier, but toolkit to 67742. And what you'll get when you access the voter toolkit there is a number of resources. We have voter guides that compare where the candidates are at on key issues. There's a presidential voter guide comparison. There's iVoter Guide, which covers all of the federal races, most of the state races, and also some ballot initiatives and local races. There's also information on prayer points. There's a lot of people wondering, how do I pray for the election right now? This is just so important culturally, but also spiritually. It's got some great information on that. It's got the publication in it that I think is really relevant to this conversation, Biblical Principles for Political Engagement. This is for people, really wanting to connect those dots. What does the Bible actually say about issues like this? Also, if you're wanting to engage your church, you're probably going to bump into some legal questions. What can we and can't we do? So it's got some legal do's and don'ts for you. And then lastly, Tony, a lot of folks it is kind of the 11th hour, but still might wonder about their voter registration. And there are some places where you can still register to vote. You can check your voter registration status. So that's also there as well. There's a link you can follow to see where you're at with voter registration. So if you download the app, you can take this with you wherever you go. So it's very user friendly. And I would also say a lot of these resources can be shared, texted from the app. So if you have a friend or family member who you think would benefit from one of these resources, you can just text it right from the toolkit. Say, hey, I thought you might be interested in this, and help share and engage others as well.
Brent, As we've been talking about this election and the issues, and of course we've been very candid in sharing our concerns about a lack of focus from the Republican Party on some of the core conservative issues. But there's still a very strong contrast between the two parties and where they stand on these issues. It might not be as strong as we would like, but for those who would say, you know what, I don't like the contentious nature of the politics. I don't like how they've weakened on some of these issues. That's not an excuse not to vote. I mean, we can talk about these things, and we should talk about them because we need to fix them in the future, but we still need to vote in this election.
We absolutely do, Tony. And like you said, there is still a contrast on some very key issues. So you can find that comparison of the party platforms there in the voter toolkit. Tony, to build on what you're saying, though, I would also say, there's a lot of folks that feel like if I'm not in one of these key swing states for the presidential election, my vote doesn't matter anyway. And the reality is that we know there are so many other races as well, from the top of the ballot all the way down to school boards and local races, that are very important. Some of these races are going to be very close in deep blue states, in deep red states. I could give you a whole list of historically very close races where people didn't think they would be, but they found themselves in races decided by 1, 2, 5, 10 votes. And so I would just encourage folks, wherever you're at in the country, there are going to be important races on your ballot. So make sure you are getting out and voting, and you're encouraging other people to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just a handful of votes are going to decide probably control of the United States Congress. It's that important. Brent Keilen, thanks so much for joining me today.
You bet, Tony. Appreciate it.